In this part of our project, we're going to create the interactive PDF, which is the final step on this little journey for Project 1. And I've opened up InDesign, and I've created some art that will go with the product that we animated. In this case, it's that bird box. So I went into Photoshop and created a logo element and then something that will represent the interactive button shape down here. So you'll come up with a variation on your own based on the tutorial, and then you'll look at the PDF that I'll also enclose in an email, and you can go through the screen grabs from other students' projects to see what they did with their design. All right, so I've opened up my master page inside of InDesign, and it's an 8.5 by 11 document. And now I'm going to introduce the pages I need for the content we've created thus far. So there's going to be at least 4 pages for the screen renders, and then there'll be one for the video file, and then the very last one will be a blank page in which we will open that file up in Acrobat and save the U3D. So that U3D cannot be imported into InDesign. That's the last step, and that has to be introduced through Acrobat. All right, so let's get started with the InDesign project. So I'll start to introduce my still images. I'll go to page number 1, and I'll activate my template. So I'll hold down Command, Option, Shift, and I'll hit L on the keyboard, and it basically is an unlock feature. I could have right-clicked and chosen unlock as well, but that's the key function for it. So I've got these boxes that I've kind of pre-scaled to my screen renders so that it'll just kind of fit as I import them. So I'm going to select the box, the frame in the middle. Each of these are frames, by the way, where I introduce that content just as if I were introducing a picture. With the center box selected, I will go up to File, Place, or I'll hit Command D, which is the key quick, and I'll get my renders that I want to put in there. And then I will grab another one. There we go. Double click on that to make sure I'm in the file. Command, Option, Shift, L. Once again, hit Command D. I'll get the next still. And so on till I have all 4 of these imported in. Grab another one. All right, so now I've got all 4 of my still images in. The next one's going to be for a video. So I'll click and drag one last one in here. Once again, I'll activate the box, hit Command D, and I'm going to go out and get that MP4 that we generated. And once I've clicked on that, I'll see this kind of crosshair icon in my window. I'm going to go to my media window. I'll put this here, and you can see if I were to go to Window, go to Interactive, and choose Media, it would bring up that window for me with my content in it. And you'll see your video immediately inside there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down to where it says Poster first, and I'll choose From Current Frame. So it's just going to take a frame from the video as a reference until the movie actually plays. I'm also going to choose play on page load, and then for the controller, so that the end user might decide to play it again or pull, rewind and play, whatever. I'm going to choose skin over all, and then I'm also going to choose show controller on rollover. So I'm not going to see the playback head and the function bar here unless the cursor goes over it. Okay, so now I'm going to hit Command S to save. And I'm going to add one last blank page because that's the one that I'll want to put my U3D into. So I'll go over to my layer window, I'll drag another page from the master, and I'm going to put an outline on this so that I have a little bit of a target area to drop that U3D in. So I think what I'll do is, I think I'll kind of make it more of a square, and I'm going to put a stroke on the edge of that, so I'll just come up here just go ahead and grab a blue that's similar to what I'm using out there. And I'm going to make a stroke of about 4 pixels. I'm going to justify, I'm going to center this a little bit more. Command S to save. Now that I've got all my content in the pages and the last reference page, I'm going to put my interactive buttons on this. So it's pretty straightforward. I'll go to page 1, and you might decide you want to use separate pieces of art for either side of your buttons, the back and forward. I've got one piece of graphic, and I'm going to use an open frame box, and I'll drag on one side like so, and I'm going to go to Window, Interactive, and Buttons and Forms. In Buttons and Forms, where it says Type, I'm going to choose Button, and I'm going to leave the event on release or tap. So you can change it to however you want someone to interact with the button shape. I'll leave the default. Then you want to be certain of is that you've set an action. So I'm going to click on the plus sign for action. And because I'm at the first page, I would like this to navigate to the next page. So I'll click on next page, and what that means, it's going to go to page 2. Right now, there is no back button on page 1, so this button on the other side, for all intents and purposes, is really kind of useless right now. So once again, I'll get my frame, and I'll click and drag over the right-hand side. And I'm just going to make that white to blank it out, essentially. All right, so now that is set. Now, I want this button to be continuous throughout the document, so I'll hit Command-C to copy. I'll go to page 2, and I'm going to hit Command-Shift-V to paste in place. Now you'll see the function up here, Edit Paste in Place. If you prefer, I kind of use the key quicks. It's up to you, though. Now I need a frame on the other side so that we can navigate back to page 1. So once again, I'll hit F on the keyboard, or I'll just grab the frame tool, which is right here with it's that little box with the crisscross through it, and I'll just put a nice generous sized box on the other side. I'm staying away from the center though, okay, and I'm making it a little bit larger because very often people don't click directly on the shape, so this way they'll be assured of navigating. All right, so this one is going to go back. So with that selected, I'm going to the Buttons and Form menu. I'll choose Button. I'll click on Actions to choose the event, and that will go to Previous Page. Now I'm going to get my Move tool. Now I'm going to select both of these buttons because I've got the navigation on it. I'm simply going to copy and paste them to all the other subsequent pages in our project. So I'll double click on page 3. Whoop, make sure we copy it first though. Select Command-C, go to page 3, Command-Option-Shift-V or paste in place. We'll go to page 4, Command-Option-Shift-V or edit paste in place, and so on. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the first button, the one that goes to the next page, and I'm going to copy that by itself and go to the last page, and once again I'll paste that in. Now we don't need a back button. We don't need a button that's going to take us back. We want this button to only go back to the beginning first page. I'm going to select the button on the right, and I'm going to make that button whited out. And then I'm going to select the button frame, and I'm going to delete the action. And I'm going to add a new action, which will be go to first page, like so. So now when they get to the last page and click on this button, it'll take them back to the beginning. Now that we have all our content in our InDesign file, we're ready to export this out as our interactive PDF. I'll go up to File, I'll go to Export, and down at the bottom I'm going to choose the format as Adobe PDF Interactive. I'll give it a name, and I'll simply hit Save. and click through any of the other windows, leave the default settings, and then we're going to test it in Acrobat. All right, I've opened my file in Acrobat. Now I'm going to test my buttons. Okay. There's my video. And now if I were to go to the next page, there is the page in which I'm going to put my U3D. So with the file open, I'm going to go to Edit, and then I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to choose Rich Media, and now I'm going to click on the cube that appears up at the top of the interface now that I've chosen Tools and Rich Media. And I'll just click and drag inside that box, and I'll go out and get my U3D file. There's our U3D. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blank out the background. I don't like the gray so much, so I'll right click and I'll choose Properties. And right in the middle of that first page that comes up, I'm going to click on Transparent Background and click OK. So what I'll do now is I'll go to Options and use Trust This Document. You'll see now we've got our interactive file. You can play with this if you choose. I'm going to set this for CAD optimized. And of course, this is for the end user. All right, so now I'll go ahead and click, and now my buttons are all working pretty well. And that's the file that you would turn into me. Okay, there's one other element you may want to add to this, and that would be your name. So maybe at the bottom of each page, you can put your name.